The first few minutes of the movie are devoted to the narration of an android named Jimmy, who recounts the history of the Motherworld. The pursuit of power resulted in the conquest of the royal family, which continued until the king and queen were carried out by an assassin. In order to locate those individuals who intend to start a rebellion on Motherworld, a dictator by the name of Balisarius, who is in charge of the forces of Motherworld, dispatches his merciless second-in-command Admiral Atticus Noble to the most remote parts of the Motherworld. Before meeting her friend Gunnar to attend a harvest celebration in their town, a woman named Kora tends to her crops on the planet Velt. The party is being held in their little village. The leader of the village, Sindri, is speaking to his people, and a hunter by the name of Den has his sights set on Kora, despite the fact that she has no desire in having a sexual relationship with him. As Kora and her companion Sam are out and about, she witnesses spacecraft from Motherworld making their way into Velt. Prior to the arrival of 3 smaller ships commanded by Noble, the community engages in a discussion over how to approach the guests. Noble has a conversation with Sindri about the possibility of rebels in the area, and he also questions him about the amount of food that they produce. Gunnar had sold any surplus harvests to enemies of the Motherworld. Noble kills Sindri in front of his people by beating him to death, along with another lady, after a heated dispute between the two of them. Gunnar is then confronted with his demand that the hamlet hand up their grain stockpile within a period of 10 weeks. In a different part of the town, a young soldier by the name of Aris seems to have a soft spot for Sam, but he is forced to watch while his superiors make fun of her. Additionally, Sam has a brief conversation with Jimmy, who mentions Princess Issa to Sam. Princess Issa was the daughter of the king and queen who were killed on that day, along with her parents. Jimmy expresses his regret at the fact that Issa was intended to bring in a new period of kindness, but it was taken away from him in such a horrible manner. There is a discussion among the villagers about how to deal with Noble and his soldiers, and several of them express their desire to appeal to their compassion. At a later time, Kora witnesses several of the soldiers harassing Sam and attempting to physically assault her, despite Aris's efforts to prevent them from doing so. The captain is holding Sam at gunpoint when Kora enters the barn with an axe and begins to butcher the soldiers until he is stopped by the captain. When Jimmy walks in, the captain gives him the order to kill Kora, but Jimmy ultimately decides to shoot him instead. In light of the fact that Noble will eliminate the villagers upon his return, this is sufficient to persuade Kora that they must join forces and fight back. Kora departs from Velt with Gunnar in order to travel in search of a group of rebels known as the Bloodaxes who might be able to assist them in their fight against the armies of Balisarius. Kora shares with Gunnar the story of how, when she was a youngster, she was a witness to the dictator's killing of her town. She also recalls that when she was confronted with the tyrant, she had the opportunity to kill him, but her weapon was out of ammunition. In order to prevent her from deserting them, Balisarius had Kora undergo training at the Imperium under the guise of Arthale. This was done in order to transform her into a murderer before she left them. Kora had a lover who was eventually slain in war, despite the fact that she was trained to be a mercenary and had no emotional relationships with anyone. Upon arriving in the port city of Providence, Kora and Gunnar set out in search of the one who might be able to direct them to the Bloodaxes. As Kora and Gunnar are being confronted by a thug, the latter makes an attempt to sexually assault Gunnar, but Kora manages to knock him down. Upon hearing the two individuals mention General Titus, a man named Kai who is located nearby starts to pay attention. Before the thug comes with backup, an extraterrestrial who is nearby provides Kora and Gunnar with information regarding the whereabouts of Titus. Until the main thug has Kora at gunpoint, Kora and Gunnar engage in a struggle and kill the other individuals. After raising his weapon and firing a shot at the thug in the head, Kai then introduces himself as a smuggler and joins Kora and Gunnar in their conversation. Kai indicates to Kora that he is aware of a man who is able to provide assistance to them in their goal. It is his responsibility to lead them to a ranch on another planet in order to locate a man named Tarak. Hickman, the rancher, is holding Tarak captive because of a debt that Tarak owes to Hickman. He is informed of Kora's goal, and the three of them make a deal with Hickman on the following terms. If Tarak is able to tame a neighboring chained-up beast known as a Bennu, then Tarak would be able to walk free. Otherwise, all of them will be owed to Hickman. Tarak makes his way toward the Bennu and engages in conversation with it. Tarak rides the wild beast once he has successfully freed it. Before he leaves, he sees Hickman mishandling the Bennu, which ultimately results in the creature killing Hickman by inserting its talon through his chest. He is granted freedom to join Kora, but as he is leaving, he witnesses the Bennu killing Hickman. After that, Kai takes Kora to a planet that is mining for cobalt, where they come face to face with a swordswoman named Nemesis. Kai tells her about the task right before she comes face to face with a humanoid spider thing known as Harada. Harada is holding a little girl captive and is getting ready to kill her. Nemesis makes an effort to negotiate with Harada, but in the end, she is forced to engage in combat with the monster and ultimately kills her by impaling her before rescuing the girl. A new member of the crew, Nemesis, has signed on. At her period of service to the Imperium, Kora was a member of Issa's royal guard, and this experience brings back memories of her time spent at that time. She saw Princess Issa bring a bird back to life, and the king had felt that the fact that Kora was her friend made her feel safe. However, it is evident that Kora is feeling guilty about what happened to Issa and her parents. Titus is located on a moon that is home to a gladiator arena, and the crew travels there. After his prior failure in combat, Titus is now living a life of humiliation on the streets and working as a prizefighter. He was once a general in the Imperium government. Even though Titus is still embarrassed by his history, Kora is able to persuade him to fight back so that he can exact his retribution. After that, the group travels to the planet Chiron, where they visit King Levitica. This is done in order to see the Bloodaxe twins, Darrian and Devra, with the expectation that Gunnar's previous ties with them will provide them with the opportunity to persuade them to join their rebellion. Before Kora gives them a speech, the two do not have any desire to assist in any way. After that, Darrian delivers his own speech to his clan, and half of them decide to accompany him, while the other half has decided to accompany Devra. Noble and the members of his crew, known as the King's Gaze, have been following the Bloodaxes. They eventually arrive at the location after the insurgents have fled, and Noble kills Levitica before laying siege to the region. Under the premise that he is delivering supplies to a trading post before departing for a better life, Kai leads the crew there. However, he was actually working in conjunction with Noble the entire time, and he was attempting to collect the bounties that were placed on the heads of Kora and the other individuals. After capturing them, Noble explains that he is aware of more information about the crew than they have disclosed. Despite the fact that Nemesis murdered several Imperium troops in order to get revenge for the deaths of her children, Tarak is actually a prince. Rather than carrying out the order to execute Kora, Gunnar takes the weapon and uses it to kill Kai instead. The rebels who have been set free and the King's Gaze engage in combat with one another. The goal of Darrian is to bring down a ship and save as many of his people as he can. He gives his life to accomplish this. Before Kora and Noble have their confrontation on the topmost level of the post, the majority of the antagonists are eliminated from the picture. Kora is able to defeat Noble and knock him off the ledge after a fierce battle between the two of them. As the crew makes their way back to Velt, they take pleasure in their momentary win. Yet, they are well aware that the Imperium will soon exact revenge. After a long absence, Kora takes her new companions back to her village, this time with a more optimistic outlook on their future. The body of Noble is recovered by an Imperium ship, and the process of reviving him begins. His thoughts travel to a different dimension, where he is able to interact with Balisarius. In spite of the fact that Balisarius believes that he will be pleased to learn that Noble has located Kora, he is instead enraged and demands that Noble bring Kora to him so that he can personally kill her. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this.